who've been in the rocketry business for decades,
Yeah.
who say about you that you don't know what you don't know.
Well, I suppose that's true of anyone. How can anyone know what they don't know?
But when critics say you can't do this, your answer to them is,
we've done it.
He's done it in partnership with NASA, which has given SpaceX technical advice and a contract worth up to $1.6 billion, mostly for 12 cargo flights to the space station. But SpaceX's lack of experience bothers some NASA legends like Apollo astronauts Neil Armstrong and Gene Cernan. They've testified to Congress that the Obama administration's drive to commercialize space could compromise safety and eventually cost the taxpayers.
Now is the time to overrule this administration's pledge to mediocrity.
you know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that, because those guys are, you know, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
So they're hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and help make spaceflight accessible to almost anyone. And I would hope for as much support in that direction as we can receive.
So what you see behind me is the world's first fully reusable rocket. You've seen rockets lift off, but you've never seen one land before.
You can imagine that if planes were not reusable, very few people would fly. You know, 747 is about $300 million. You'd need 2 of them for a round trip. And yet I don't think anyone here has paid $500 million to fly.
It's like getting in your 747 and, you know, flying across the country and then throwing the 747 away. You only use it one time.
Jeff who?
It will dramatically reduce the cost of space exploration, some estimate by 100-fold.
About 100-fold.
So what does this mean for the future of space exploration that you pulled this off?
Well, what we've done is we've demonstrated that it's possible.
But he was also very quick to point out the difference between space and orbit, suggesting that perhaps what Blue Origin pulled off is somewhat easier. Is he right about that?
No, he's not. You know, what SpaceX is trying to do is actually very similar.
You're obviously a very competitive person. You're competing with the likes of Jeff Bezos in...
Jeff who?
Finally tonight, that Tesla and that dummy floating somewhere in space tonight. But is David Bowie still playing?
They are the images that left us in awe. A mannequin in a spacesuit riding in Elon Musk's red Tesla Roadster, blasting David Bowie, while the car blasts through space. Many tonight asking some of the same questions. Is Bowie's song really going to play forever? It turns out it played on loop inside that Tesla for about 6 hours before the battery died. And after the picture-perfect takeoff, those 3 boosters too, we watched 2 of them land back home perfectly.
And the Falcons have landed.
And tonight, the 3rd we now know, missing its target by about 300 feet, crashing into the ocean.
It hit the water at 300 miles an hour and took out 2 of the engines on the drone ship.
Elon Musk revealing that the rocket carrying that Tesla, originally on a mission to Mars, now on a trajectory toward the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, where it could stay in orbit for millions, if not billions of years.
Maybe discovered by some future alien race, thinking, what the heck, what were these guys doing? Did they worship this car?
6,000 employees cheering on that launch back at Mission Control outside Los Angeles. We've taken you there before for Made in America, sending supplies up to the International Space Station in a capsule made here.
And this right here?
This is the Dragon capsule.
American-made, American engines sent into orbit.
And that's the first time a private company had ever done that.
And I think the windows are very telling, aren't they?
Yes.
It's sort of a hint of what you plan on doing.
It is, absolutely.
They want Americans looking through those windows one day. But for now, just a mannequin in a car barreling toward Jupiter and Mars. And this image posted just as we came on the air tonight.
I had this image of just a giant explosion on the pad with, a wheel bouncing down the road, like the Tesla logo landing somewhere with a thud.
Mars actually has a huge amount of water and water ice, so I don't think we'll really suffer a water shortage on Mars. The main thing about Mars is actually going to be energy. If you have energy, there's plenty of water because there's massive amounts of ice. So it's really just about getting huge numbers of solar panels out there, and I think assuming the public is receptive, there might be nuclear. I think certainly if you build nuclear on Mars, as to whether you transport nuclear to Mars would be kind of up to the public to decide.
In September 2017, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk revealed his latest aspirations for colonizing Mars. His plan is to send the first humans to Mars in 2024 to build the foundations for the first Martian city. But is Mars really the best place for humans to settle? Some scientists think that we should be looking elsewhere.
I'm Amanda Hendricks. I'm a senior scientist with Planetary Science Institute. First of all, I don't want to be too negative about Mars. I like Mars. I do think we should go there, and humans should go there to visit and check it out and do science. I just don't think it's a good place for living for long term. And the main reason is because of the radiation problem. And Mars offers no natural protection against the galactic cosmic rays. It has a thin atmosphere and no magnetosphere. So humans who intend to spend any long period of time on Mars are probably going to have to live underground or in some sort of devices that can shield them from the galactic cosmic rays. Titan, on the other hand, has got this natural shielding device, which is its nice thick atmosphere.
Amanda Hendricks believes the planet we should be looking into is Titan, a moon slightly bigger than our own that orbits Saturn.
Because it's such a more appropriate environment for humans. Titan is really unique because it's a moon and it has a solid surface. It's mostly an icy moon, but it has this thick atmosphere. And it's unique because there's no other moon in the solar system that has such an atmosphere. The atmosphere is mostly nitrogen. It's about 1 to 2% methane. So one thing to point out is there's no oxygen in the atmosphere like we have here on Earth. And so humans living on Titan would need to make oxygen to breathe. Shouldn't be a big problem because there's plenty of H2O frozen on the surface and in the subsurface. So humans could derive oxygen to breathe without a big problem. Perhaps a good option might be for them to try out a very temporary short-term colony of humans on Mars and use that as a stepping stone to Titan. Use it kind of as a practice run. I think that would be a great idea. But somebody like Elon Musk has got the resources and the smarts to be able to work on Titan and to make a colony there happen and to make the propulsion system happen. And so I think he should be thinking about Titan more than Mars.
The effects of mindfulness on the brain, on the genome, on biological aging, and when the human mind does know itself, then you get the potential for a new renaissance that restructures itself in terms of our relationship to life, our relationship to the planet, our relationship to work.
Physicists believe that when time began, at the moment of the Big Bang, matter and antimatter were created in equal amounts. And based on recent measurements made at CERN Laboratory in Switzerland, it seems there is perfect symmetry between the two, which they say implies that our universe should not exist. What? Okay, here to talk about this perhaps disconcerting discovery is CBS News science and futurist contributor and theoretical physicist Michio Kaku. All right, Professor Kaku, so can you explain, first of all, what antimatter is and how is it different from the matter that we interact with every day?
Well, there's a Nobel Prize out there if you can figure out how this thing works. Antimatter is the mirror image of ordinary matter. It's extremely rare. If I had some in my hand, it looked like like ordinary matter, has the same chemical properties, except if I touch it, it would explode and destroy all of New York City, parts of Connecticut and New Jersey.
Oh.
Every Star Trek fan knows that this is the greatest energy source in the universe, matter-antimatter collision.
Okay, all right, so that's it. Well, what is it about this symmetry between matter and antimatter that, leads CERN's physicists to this conclusion that we shouldn't exist, the universe shouldn't exist?
Well, at the instant of the Big Bang, there should have been equal quantities of matter and antimatter, which annihilated, driving the Big Bang. So, by rights, we shouldn't be here.
Right.
Because we have more matter than antimatter in our sector of the galaxy. We've looked for anti-galaxies. We've looked for anti-planets. We don't see any.
I don't even understand what that means, but okay, go ahead. Antimatter, anti-planets, because they would be made up of anti.
That's right. There should be anti-people.
I see.
Anti-love, anti-CBS.
No.
But in fact, we see no evidence of that at all. So physicists say by rights we shouldn't exist. This means that at the instant of the Big Bang, there was a slight overabundance of matter over antimatter, and here we are.